situated and comfortable, please feel free to spread out. Likewise, throughout the presentation, feel free to get up and help yourself to a drink, help yourself to a slice of pizza, though it's running low. A good kind of metric of how our tech night's going so far. And again, for those of you that are new, we keep this very casual and collegial, and I think we have a really special one for you this evening. There are some new faces in the crowd, which is really wonderful, really exciting. So with that said, can I get just a show of hands? Who hasn't been to a tech night before? All right, I love it. That is one of the best ratios we've had. So for those newcomers, as well as those old friends and alumni, welcome to Central Maine Tech Night. It's wonderful to see everybody this evening here in 10 Water Street, downtown Waterville, Maine. For those of you that have not attended in the past, Central Maine Tech Night is a monthly event, the second Thursday of every month, unless we're doing something special. In these small group settings, founders and leaders share real advice on how they overcome challenges, capitalize on their target market, and develop their product, providing you with actionable insight for your own products and processes. You may find more information on Central Maine Tech Night at centralmaine.org at the Tech Night tab, or you can find us on Facebook. So please check us out there. As usual, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank our wonderful sponsors this evening. This is being presented by Central Maine Growth Council. Thank you to CGI. Thank you for our delicious beverages by Valley Beverage this evening. Thank you to Thomas College, Harold Alfond Institute for Business Innovation, and a special thank you, as usual, at Bricks Co-working and Innovation Space, the newest innovation space in mid-Maine here at 10 Water Street. In addition, I'd like to say hello to the folks watching at home. This Tech Night is being streamed live and can be viewed on Crossroads-TV at 1301. Thank you to Crossroads-TV. Thank you to Chad behind the camera with all the tech as well for him and his crew. So with that said, we have an awesome August Tech Talk with a local hero of ours here, Nick. This is actually where he is doing a lot of his creation here at Bricks. So tonight's Tech Talk is Listening and Learning, Why Eariously Thinks Audio is the Future and Present, by Nick Rimsa, co-creator of Eariously. Eariously, a software startup that turns anything text-based, such as articles, blogs, emails, homework, news, etc., into audio, has made it its home in Waterville, Maine. While pioneering a text-to-audio software targeted to busy students and commuters, the startup has enthusiastically built a statewide network within Maine's entrepreneurship and tech community. In his Tech Talk, co-creator Nick will share why he and his partner started making Eariously for themselves, why they decided to make Maine their home, and why they think audio is the future and present. Please join me in welcoming Nick.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. Can everyone hear me? Okay. So I'm Nick. Before we get going, I figured I would define what the heck we are making. So our software turns anything digital into sound so that you can listen to it on your phone or laptop. So the first thing that everyone always asks us is, how the heck does this thing even work? My partner, this is Brendan right here. So Brendan's done a pretty incredible job building this software. So I design and he develops. So how it works is, let's say you're on a web page, you're on an image, PDF. What our software does first is it figures out what the heck is that thing in the first place. Is it an image? Is it a PDF, web page? What exactly is the software looking at? Once it figures out what that thing is, it then moves to figuring out what are the individual things on the page. So on a web page, you might have a bunch of text. You might have a title, a bunch of ads. So obviously, you don't want to listen to all those things. So we got to figure out what's important and what's not. So we got to isolate the good stuff and get rid of the junk. So once we do that, we then turn that into audio, and that's sort of like the very last teeny tiny bit is the audio conversion. So at that point, you go ahead and listen to the thing that you wanted to read. And then this is the two of us. This is me and Brendan. So we work with 3 other really awesome folks, and then a handful of contractors. So we work with Kaya Jones. She's a developer in Missouri. We work with, and she was here for the summer. We work with Ruth Lynn. She's a artist in Houston, and then we work with Ghislaine Guerin. She's a designer in Madrid. So, you know, Brendan's a pretty amazing fella. He's up here for the week, and we both really believe that, you know, before you build anything, you got to get the right people on the bus, and this fella is certainly the right person. So, how we met at what turned out to be a fraudulent startup in New York City. It's a long and now hilarious story. But we met there, and you know, we started talking about making things, and in my past within sort of the software world, I've worked as a researcher, designer, and salesperson, and Brendan's worked as a developer always. So I've always been able to design things and sell things, but I'd never really had a partner like Brendan who could actually say, yeah, I can actually make this. I can sit down and construct that crazy idea that you have in your mind, or that crazy idea that we've come up with together. And Brendan's an incredible programmer, but he is the most antisocial person of all time. He hates talking to people. So we partnered up and we started making things together. So we started working together 3 years ago, and it's been a delight to work with him since. So, of all the projects on Earth, why did we work on this? Why did we decide to work on this in the first place? So when we first started working together three years ago, we mostly were making things for ourselves, little Chrome extensions, browser extensions, things that would make us more productive, help us mostly with work. And then last summer, last September, really, I said, Brendan, I have so many bookmarks that I'm never going to actually read. I had hundreds of bookmarks, always had like dozens of tabs open, and I said, Brendan, of all these things I have, I'm never going to be able to get through these. And the alternatives that I was trying, apps and different software applications and things primarily focused towards academia, weren't really getting done what I really wanted to accomplish. And that was take something that I wanted to read from The Atlantic or a journal article or whatever, and just listen to it right then and there, or bring it with me on my commute. And so I said, Brendan, dude, this is a problem. And Brendan's a lot smarter than me. So we said we should make this for ourselves. And so you might be thinking, how the heck did we end up here in the first place? These are where we have lived the last 5 years, sometimes together, sometimes apart. But we ended up here in Waterville. So Lisa Noble's here. Lisa invited us up to Waterville back in September. So how did that happen? So whenever we make anything, we put up a landing page, which basically is a place for people to sign up for your product. So we hadn't even made anything. We just made a web page that said, this is what we're making. And all sorts of people started to sign up. Normally it's our moms, our sisters, our like 3 friends. Nobody signs up for this stuff because it's a product that doesn't yet exist. But a lot of people were signing up for this, and we were like, what the heck is going on? And so, in beginning to talk with these folks, we ended up talking to someone, got us in touch with Lisa. We called Lisa, and she said, you should really come up here and explain this to some administrators at Colby. They might be really interested in using this for their students. And I got off the phone, I called Brendan, and I said, hey, we need to put a demo together in the next 3 days because we're going up to Maine. And because we didn't have anything built quite yet. And so we did. We came up here to Waterville, met with some folks. And then Lisa was gracious enough to invite me to teach a product design course in January at Colby, and so the rest is history, I guess. But it's been a delight to be here. And so this spring was really when we focused on developing our software quite a bit further than in the fall. So our focus this spring was with working with students at Colby, at Thomas. A handful of other schools sort of throughout the world, one in Missouri, Northwest Missouri State, another in Madrid, and then another in Massachusetts. We worked with a learning laboratory at UMass. But really what we were fine-tuning was like, what is the solution that we should be actually making? So like I was saying before, there's this really technical component of essentially getting the computer to see stuff and to identify what's important, what's not, what matters, what do people actually want to listen to. And then this spring, what we were focused on primarily is understanding, how do people actually consume this stuff? How do we actually get people to sit down and listen to something on the go, or listen to something that they had to read for class, for example? And so working with students, and we had the chance to work with a couple hundred students throughout the semester, it was pretty incredible. So we've called sort of Colby and Thomas in the different schools that we worked with throughout the semester and throughout the summer now, our laboratory, because all we've been focused on primarily up to this point is learning, figuring out what the heck is it that people need. And luckily, I'm an obsessive user of this product. I use this nonstop to listen to things. And so, now that we have more folks using it, we can figure out, okay, that's just Nick and Nick's preferences. This is the reality. And we can sort of unbundle those two things from each other. And so, our graduation cap turned to a top hat here. So Waterville now has become our home, and we're very happy to be here now. And so again, folks ask us, like, why the heck are you up here in the first place? Why not move back to New York, or why not move out to LA with Brendan? So Brendan and his wife live out in Santa Monica. I was planning on heading out there after teaching the course in January, and ended up deciding to stay here permanently after continuing to work with students throughout the spring semester and develop our software here at Bricks. And so there are kind of four main reasons. It's inexpensive for us to make stuff up here. I mean, just thinking about things like rent or going to the grocery store, we're able to really sit and focus on our things because we're less so worrying about money. So we've decided to bootstrap Eariously, which means that we're spending our own money on developing it. And the logic behind that is we don't really want to be on the clock. We don't want to give up control to someone else to tell us what to do. We're a little bit stubborn in that fact, but it's allowed us to really take our time and focus on learning, focus on building exactly what it is that we want to create. And so being up here, we're able to operate really without that constraint, worried about, oh man, are we going to be able to, are we going to have to make the decision between paying rent and paying a contractor? Not to mention the fact that operating up here in a rural location is significantly less distracting. I mean, I love living in cities, lived in New York, then Boston, then Philly, and it's amazing. But the two of us are highly distracted folks, and when we see shiny objects, we're attracted to them. And so being up here, and especially again working here at Bricks, has given us the ability to really focus and learn and build our product. And this is all sort of falls well short of the community that has been up here and that has given us anything and everything that we need. Lisa, of course, Elaine and Garvin from the Central Maine Growth Council, Kim Linloff from Mid-Maine Chamber, the folks at Colby, the folks at Thomas, the librarians in town, just like always helping us with things, our SCORE mentors, and then folks like Katie Shorey at Startup Maine. I mean, the community up here, we've been just overjoyed to work with. And another thing that we've just absolutely loved is that when someone says something up here, that's the reality. We don't have to parse through, understanding what's real and what's not, because everyone up here wants to see each other succeed. So that's been a delight. And then last but not least, working here at Bricks, there are dozens of people, working on various things, and it's given us the ability to collaborate on different projects. So, because we're bootstrapping, we're always working on more than one thing. And, for the longest time, I thought that was I thought that was sort of a negative. Like I should be focusing on one single thing at any given time. But as we've made more things and made more things together, especially, I've come to sort of the realization that the more folks that I can collaborate with, and the number of projects that I can work on at any given one point is ultimately what's improving my skills the most and improving Brendan's skills the most. So as a designer and as a developer, working primarily with students here in the space, it's given us the ability to work on lots of different things at the same time and learn significantly faster. And so originally, when I was sitting down to put these slides together, I wasn't totally sure what we were going to talk about when it came to this part of the presentation, the future of audio, because the more that I was writing down, the more notes that I was taking, the more I was realizing how uncertain we are about so many components of that. We have all sorts of different ideas about where audio is heading, but we're pretty certain about one thing, and that's that search will be at the center of audio and of voice and of sound. And so search, typing something into Google, that's sort of the essence of how you use your phone, because that's what you're ultimately doing with that is deciding how you want to spend your time on your phone. You're searching for something, you're about to go do something, and that's ultimately a container of time that you're never going to get back. And so to us, search is wildly, wildly important today, has been and will continue to be so as the medium changes. So just like this statistic blew my mind, and it's something that anyone can look up, but 63,000 searches happen every second on Google. I read that yesterday. I was like, holy cow. And so the majority of search today takes place through typing. In years past, it's taken place on your desktop, on your laptop. Today, the majority of search happens on mobile, on your cell phone. And by next year, depending on who you ask, between a third and half of all searches will happen without a screen. So whether that's Siri, whether that's your Alexa, your Google Home, whatever that might be, a third to half, depending on who you ask, is gonna happen through audio. And so we're highly, highly interested in figuring out where this path is going to go to, because that's the basis of our product. And so we think that there are a couple things that are really, really important for us to figure out and keep in mind when it comes to audio-based search. And that's sort of the balance between personalization and privacy. And we think that, we're a little bit biased, of course, but we don't think that an ad-based business model is compatible with holding those two things equal, holding equal personalization and privacy. And sort of, just to dive in a little bit, what I mean by those two things is that if I ask Siri something, if I ask Alexa something, I'm going to get one single result. Whereas if I'm here on my laptop, I'm here on my phone, I type something in, I still have to choose. And so in order for a result to be good through audio, it's really, really important that that machine, know who I am, what I already know, my interests, my background, who I am, because that result needs to be specific to me and specific to my needs in that one search. And of course, as personalization of a result increases, you have the importance of privacy being upheld at the same time. And so, and that's of course not to even mention the fact that saying something out loud to a speaker is significantly different than typing it in. I mean, I know for a fact that I wouldn't want to say all my searches aloud, in the company of other folks, and I would imagine that most people in this room would agree. So we think that the future of audio is search. The future of audio search is privacy and personalization. And frankly, that's about all that we're pretty sure about. Everything else, when it comes to audio, when it comes to voice, when it comes to sound, we're not really sure about, in all honesty. But we are really, really excited about it, and we are really excited about that uncertainty, and we are excited to play a tiny little piece and tiny little role in shaping that future. So Last slide, we have a little waiting list here on the table if you're interested. We haven't started selling our subscriptions publicly yet, but if you're interested in putting your name down or at least grabbing some stickers, please do. But thank you very much for coming. Thanks very much for listening. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them now, or I'll be hanging around afterwards.
So do you see this kind of like a podcast player sort of approach?
What do you mean?
Highlight things. Well, I mean, you get. I've got some podcasts that I'm interested in, and it downloads whatever the latest one is, and it's ready for me to listen to in my vehicle. Whenever, right? I mean, wouldn't this be? This could look at my, let's say, my Facebook things that I like, and maybe people that I watch on Twitter or whatever, and be able to find some of those things I might be interested in, and then queue them up as a, essentially a playlist for me.
Yeah, so we've been focused on this sort of idea of an inbox, and you throwing stuff into that inbox, or other folks sharing things with you into that inbox. And to start, we've instead of sort of going down this automation path, we've been focused on this curation path of I'm very, very focused on deciding exactly what it is that I want to listen to. And so we've taken sort of this pull approach instead of a push approach. But moving forward, as more people listen to more things, we'll get a better idea of what specifically we should potentially be delivering. So of all the things on my phone that I listen to the most, other than our own stuff, like I listen to Spotify like all day, and their recommendation system for showing me new music is incredible. So we've taken a lot of cues from and learning from folks that work there about how we should be delivering sort of what's next. And while that's not currently a focus, I think it will eventually become one. Does that answer your question?
Sort of.
Not really. The short answer is we don't know.
Maybe mix a song in every once in a while.
We would, we would love to do that. We would love to partner with some of these organizations that already have sizable audiences and really good content.
Nick, can you touch on the landscape of some of your market competition and what you believe kind of differentiates you guys?
Sure. So a couple of our biggest competitors are called, within the consumer space, are called Pocket and Instapaper. So those have had pretty big followings for quite a while, but they were both acquired within the last couple of years and largely kind of shut down. So from talking to different folks who we know, it's our understanding that they were in effect acqui-hires, which means that the bigger company bought the smaller company with the hopes of using those really smart people that made that thing to make new stuff for that big company. And so unfortunately, those two products have sort of stayed stagnant for the last number of years. And I think what the biggest difference that we've sort of decided when it comes to those two companies is focusing on not just websites, but also images. Excuse me, too much seltzer. It's focusing on images and text and highlighted text. And PDFs. So, in working with students throughout the spring semester and throughout the summer, sophomores, juniors, seniors, like their biggest needs are PDFs. And so, if I'm a student, in whatever, in an American Studies course, half the time I get a PDF, it's upside down and it's a copy of a copy of a copy from 40 years ago. So, our competition has decided to say, they've decided we're not going to focus on things that aren't readable, so to speak, that aren't copy-pastable. And we've taken sort of the opposite approach. We've said, okay, let's try to handle anything we possibly can, because we know that one of our biggest groups of folks who want to use Eariously are students. And so, when it comes to sort of like the consumer space, what we've said is, okay, we want to be able to handle anything. And then within sort of academia, the competition that we're looking at, companies like JAWS or Kurzweil, these are sort of huge organizations that have been around for forever. But the issue when it comes to these pieces of software is that they're desktop based. And so if I'm a student and I want to take my listening with me in my car, or to go to the gym, or to do laundry, or to do something, or to listen while I'm doing something else, it's not possible. And so, within academia and with a focus on students, we've said, okay, well, we want this to be mobile first. We want people to be able to take this with them on the go, on their phones. Anybody? Hey, Lisa. Yeah, so we've built an app that works on iOS, works on Android. So like if I'm on another app, I send a specific item to Eariously, and then I can listen to it there. Or if I'm on my desktop, I'm on my laptop, I can say, hey, this thing that's right in front of me, I want to listen to this right now. I want to send this to my phone. So it's an app and a browser extension that work together.
So if I send a website or a PDF to Eariously app, sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
One of those annoying calls from other places that don't have anything to do with me. Can you take care of them? That would be.
That's above our pay grade.
Yeah, no, really. So you send whatever it is you want to Eariously, and then it tees it up and puts it in your inbox. That's the idea.
Yeah. Yep.
Kind of like Evernote.
Kind of like Evernote. Yeah.
But there's also, you're suggesting there may be a search feature where you can discover new content that could also be added.
Maybe. Not quite yet, though.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. We've been focusing on folks choosing exactly what it is that they want to listen to.
Yeah, because you can drown in all the
Oh man.
and
Yeah.
That's about just gonna
Well.
if you could choose the quality, that'd be like,
When we started testing non-curation items, when we started testing recommendation systems, people hated it. It was just like junk. Whereas like we've decided to say, okay, well if I'm going to listen to stuff, I'm going to listen to a very specific list of things. And if I'm interested in sharing with something, I don't want to blast it out to the folks who follow me. I want to send it to a very, very specific person, or very specific two people. So, with that in mind, we focused on sort of this self-curation and then curation with an intimate circle of, close friends or coworkers or acquaintances.
tell me how you listen to an image.
Good question. So let's say I got something in front of me. I have an image in front of me with text on it. So this is specific if there are words actually on there. A lot of times, so with the PDF, that's non-searchable. That's effectively an image. Or if I were to take a photo, of this, that would of course be non-searchable too. So what our software would do is it'd say, okay, this is a bunch of text, it'd first say this looks like a bunch of shapes, and then these look like words, these look like letters. It would put all that together to figure out exactly what we have in front of us, and then ultimately turn that to audio.
So your tagline over here, listening is learning, and you were talking about learning from students on how they learn. So can you talk to us a little bit about the connection between learning and audio, and what learning style that is most suitable for? And
Too much seltzer. So, I know, should have. Well, might have had the same issue. So working with students, it's given us a ridiculous amount of insight. Students are pretty frank in what works and what doesn't, and they're not shy to share when things are less than ideal. And so, in working with sort of folks within the accessibility community and accessibility experts, one thing that we've sort of taken away is this idea that people learn best when they like learning. So this whole idea of learning preference versus learning choice versus learning bias, however you enjoy learning best is probably how you're going to learn the most. And so for me, for Brendan, we love listening to things as our main form of consumption. And this isn't to say that listening is better than reading by any means, And I read a tremendous amount. I just supplement it with listening, and vice versa. And so, in terms of how students learn, one thing that we focused on is students with learning differences. And so, folks with ADHD or different sight disorders or ear or hearing disorders, just focusing on those students to deliver like their needs. I mean, there was one student we worked with in the spring semester. It took her like 6 hours to read her homework every night. And so, the fact that, she now can listen to it, frees her up to do other things other than just like sit in front of her laptop for 6 straight hours. And so, our focus largely has been on sort of developing for those specific needs, on a case-by-case basis and designing around whatever it is that they need.
So given that, how flexible is the output? How customizable is the output?
In terms of?
What you're hearing as far as
Speed or
what's that?
voice or?
The voice.
Yeah, sure. So I use a British. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, of course. So the question was, how flexible is the sound output? And so like I listen to a British fella at 1.25 speed. So that's my personal preference. So we have 9 voices, and then we have what do we have? We have 3/4 speed, 1 speed, 1.5, and 1 1/4. So it's up to you. And what's been most popular is this British fella at 1 speed. We call him Alfred.
Well, Peter, see, you have another, there you go, you have 2 here.
Can you demonstrate any of this?
You want me to say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll throw it down for us.
No, my name's not Alfred.
On cue. Sorry, go ahead. We don't know. It's changed.
Spoken like a designer, not a product manager.
Oh man, it's changed quite a bit. Well, so we've been focused on figuring out what the right solution is, and we think that what we have now is pretty good. So we're hoping to start selling subscriptions by the end of the year. That's our goal. Thank you. Yeah, we're really excited. Yeah.
So obviously your niche really is students who purposely are taking information that they want to audioize, as it were, right? So they know their PDFs, all their books. They're probably reading 500 to 1,000 pages a week. But as you say, to maximize their time, right? They go into the gym, they're trying to do some other things, but big podcast might be the way to go for them. How serious? I think a gentleman had mentioned this before. I look at it and say the old days, you pop on your computer and your Yahoo page shows up, right? And you've pre-programmed all these things to be sort of pulled and curated for you. It's a different application, but I look at that and say maybe I might be in a generation that's a little bit older, but that podcast of getting that into audio for me would be a really great opportunity. Because the reason why my frustration about search is it takes endless hours to search stuff. But if there was something that, based on that Yahoo profile when you first fill it out, that's scrubbing the internet, scrubbing blogs, that you identify or in the genre of keywords are picking up, and every morning I wake up and that's in my sort of audio inbox, wow. That to me is a wow. It's a game changer, right? And I don't know if and someone may say, oh, there's 2 or 3 services that do that. Man,
Sure.
because I'm a little behind the times, I get that,
Nah.
but I don't think there is at that level. But you guys may be the solution, right? How serious is going from that student real niche over into sort of what I would say would be a much greater mass market? Is it?
Really hard.
Is it hard?
Yeah, really. So we're focused on students and then commuters. So those are two groups of folks that we've worked with the closest. So to repeat the question is Mike asked. Someone asked a previous question in regards to this push-pull idea of like how do you curate this list, and what Mike was asking was how difficult is it to sort of create this curated recommended list? And the answer is it's really difficult because just recommendation systems are really, really hard. Building them correctly is really, really hard, and creating, preference-based lists is difficult. And so, like, what we've identified, and also not to mention, our biggest cost is turning text into audio, right? So if we're creating audio that folks aren't listening to, that's a huge waste for us. And so, especially in the near term, given how we're bootstrapping, we've decided to say, okay, that maybe will be awesome in the future, but to start, I'm selecting specifically what I'm listening to. Maybe this is an item that I'm sharing with you. And what we're finding is that, folks are really, really willing to share things with each other in these sort of close group communities. And so, like, I'm never without things to listen to. Within even if I'm to eliminate my own selections, because the folks who I'm sharing these things with are also sending things back to me.
Is the pricing based on like bytes and bandwidth that I'm sort of using, or subscription based up to a certain point, or?
So, yeah, so we use Amazon's system. So Amazon has a system, Google, IBM, it's ultimately a race to zero because it's becoming a commodity, which is great for us. But in terms of how pricing generally works, it's just like essentially by the character. So the more stuff and sort of the longer the thing is that you want to listen to, the more expensive it is.
Gotcha. And you pre-recording those things, or are you just playing them back on the fly? Are you creating the audio, or are you just playing it back on the fly?
We're creating the audio, because and why we decided to do that is, like, once we create that audio file, what we find is that a lot of people listen to the same thing. Like, I might choose to listen to something, and I might be the first one to listen to that item. Then let's say you want to listen to that, Lisa wants to listen to that, Mike wants to listen to that. That first conversion is that cost, and those marginal listens are effectively free. So for us, it makes the most sense to not convert anything until we're sure that someone is actually going to listen to it.
Yeah. So do you create it right on demand, right when it's first requested, and then you store it, like in an S3 drive or something like that, and then you save it for X amount of time?
Yeah, in general, I mean, we store it effectively infinitely because it's like holding that file is cheap, and exactly, and re-recording it would sort of defeat the purpose of not storing it.
You leave the server up and running all the time to do that, or do you just launch a container or something to do it on the fly?
Say it again.
Launch a container to do it on the fly, or are you leaving it running? Or?
We're just leaving it running for now. We got to figure out a better long-term approach, but for now it's working, and it's cheap enough.
Where do you, given all this, where do you see yourself? Hard question to answer, I know. Where do you see yourself in like 5 years, or where do you see, Eariously in 5 years?
Well, hopefully still in Waterville. Yeah. Garvin, this was a setup. We've in all seriousness, like we've worked here in this space. There are a number of other folks who are working here in this space who we believe in, wholeheartedly, and it's more fun to make things when other people are making things around you. So it's our hope that we continue to see a little bit of success, and the folks around us do too, and keep building here.
So who's your next hire?
Who's our next hire? Who is our next hire? Well, we work with a development team in San Francisco, so that allows us to. Well, it's a lot less expensive than working with a full-time hire, and so we work with a team there for things that we're not good at, and so they're like our current hire, and we'll probably start paying them a little bit more in the next couple of months. So they're our focus. And then Kaya. Anybody else have any questions? Yeah.
Will you be able to demonstrate the product?
To like you or I don't know, maybe a month or two. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, deal. Well, hey, as long as you come back. Okay, all right, deal. All right, yeah,
That English guy.
for sure.
It sounds just like this guy, except faster.
Except, yeah.
You want to hear the real Alfred.
So does Brendan move here too, or is he still in California?
He's still in LA, but he's been out here 3 times, and every time he's come, he's liked it more and more. So a lot of the folks in this room have given him reason to sort of doubt living in Santa Monica. So we're traffic being one of them, and he's liking the beach less and less.
I have some rollerblades from it's fine.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's what I did, and yeah. Well, so he was here this week, and he'll be back probably in a month or two. So, fingers crossed, he'll eventually make his way here. We hope. Fingers crossed. More and more hopeful though every time.
We'll send him a video. Hey, Brendan, come to water.
Thank you, Nick. That was really wonderful. I hope folks enjoyed hearing about a tech startup here in downtown Waterville, hearing about some of the young talent and entrepreneurs and some of the work that's being spun out right here in Bricks is really exciting. Make sure to sign up on the list so when that app gets released that you get first access to it. Feel free to stick around. Thank you so much for coming to Central Maine Tech Night. Next September, the second Thursday, we have another awesome tech night with Maine Venture Fund. That is a professionally managed venture capital initiative that exclusively invests in Maine-based businesses that have high growth upswing as well as a public benefit. So if you're an entrepreneur or innovator or trying to raise capital, this is one that you want to come to. So next September, Maine Venture Fund, please join us for that. And thank you again for coming. Wonderful seeing everybody, and we'll see you next month. Thank you. Cheers.